Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you subscribed. I really appreciate it. Riddle here. I have to tell you, I have attempted to make this video 5 times now. Yesterday, just towards the end, the video was so good. A helicopter started flying overhead. I mean, not just flying overhead, but like really flying overhead. It turned out it was PG&E, our electrical company, supposedly set out notices and said that they were checking the electrical lines. They weren't making contact with the trees for wildfires this year. We live in Northern California, and that was a big cause last year. Some of the locals have this conspiracy theory that the helicopters are also checking for growers, people that are growing illegally. Even though marijuana is legal here, it's only kind of legal, and of course they formed all these rules around it that kind of makes it impossible for you to grow it anyways, unless you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to start a business. You know, anytime they legalize something, the government's going to find some way to still keep it out of our hands. So anyways, today's video topic is how to make clones or cuttings from your tomato plants. Now, you may ask, why would I want to make clones of my tomato plants? Well, if you have heirloom tomatoes, or you have you just want more tomatoes and you're on a budget, or you love sharing plants with friends, or you sell plants. I sold quite a few plants out of my front yard when I lived in Los Angeles, and it was a nice little side hobby for me. So what we're looking at here is an indigo kumquat tomato. These are really difficult to find, and the seeds are difficult to find because often they will tell you that they're indigo kumquat seeds, and they're actually have been hybridized. I'm not sure if that's a word. They mix with whatever tomato is near them, and so they're not true. A true indigo kumquat, first of all, the color, it's an orange yellow like a kumquat fruit with a purple crown. And the thing that makes these so exquisite, and I shall use the word exquisite, is that when they're ripe, they actually are so sweet, they taste more like a fruit than a tomato. They're amazing. And let me tell you the story. The first year we moved here to Santa Cruz, California, my friend Karen on the street, who then was a stranger to me, she and the other neighbors all brought me tomatoes, and she had gotten everyone on the street growing the heirloom tomatoes that year. And the indigo kumquat was a tomato I'd never seen before. So of course I was so excited. I saved all my seeds from the indigo kumquat tomato, thinking that I would grow many of them the next year. So I planted them all over the yard, waiting. Fruit starts to form, fruit starts to ripen. First thing I noticed, the shape is different. Then I noticed the color is different. Then I noticed the flavor is different. Oh my gosh, it was a train wreck, people. I had thick skins, weird flavors, and basically what had happened is they had been pollinated with all the surrounding tomatoes I had in the garden, and they were no longer this exquisite variety. So when I looked for seeds this year online, they would say they were indigo kumquat seeds on eBay, and then I would reach out to the grower and say, can you guarantee? And they would say, no, we can't. Isn't that crazy? So they're selling them online as indigo kumquat seeds, but they would not guarantee them. So I finally found this place in Lithuania that said they grew them in a greenhouse, only that species. And all I can tell you at this point is that they were very expensive. And look at the color. Can you see the purple in the stem and the purple blush on the leaves? It's definitely an indigo, but I will let you know when it fruits if it's a true indigo kumquat. But that being said, I had like 6 or 7 precious seeds. I got them all to germinate, and I just want more. I want more of them, and I want to share them with some other growers and some other neighbors that really enjoy them also. So let's get down to business over here. What you're gonna need. Some rooting powder helps. Not 100% necessary, but it helps. So let's get our lid off of that. What kind of rooting powder? It's up to you. You're gonna need a 3 to 4 inch plastic pot. You're gonna need some good soil. What I mean by good soil, so because it's a cutting, you need a soil that's lighter that isn't super sandy, because you want it to be able to hold the moisture, but you don't want to pull a bunch of clay soil out of the dirt, out of the ground either, because that's going to be too compacted and not allow the roots to form easily. So you just want a good potting soil that has a lot of humus in it, and or perlite or anything that makes the soil a little bit lighter. So soil is dry right now. One of the big mistakes people make is they don't compact their soil properly. And that means you want to press it down lightly, firmly, without crushing it in there too much. And then another mistake that people often make when taking cuttings or doing seedlings is they moisten the soil afterwards instead of before. Because what you want to do is you want to moisten it before and afterwards, actually, because this is going to help to expand the soil. It's going to make it so you don't disturb the seedling especially, or the cutting, once you have it in there. And it's going to get rid of any of the air pockets or anything that may have formed while the soil is expanding due to hydration. Next, we're going to go after our cutting. You ready? Let's go back over to our indigo kumquat here. Now, let's see if I can even find a piece on this one, because like I said before, I made this video like 6 times, and every time either I press the wrong button and it shuts off halfway through and I don't realize it, I'm still going blah, 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 blah. Or helicopter flies over, dog barks, Sasquatch attacks. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so where do you take your cutting? Really easy. Just take a well-formed sucker. What is a sucker? A sucker is the stem that grows out of the main stems on the tomato plants. This is a good example of a sucker here, but it's not long enough. We want it to be at least 5 to 7 inches long. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna take this little sucker right here, and that's gonna help us to air this out a little bit too. So it's good, you can trim your tomatoes. It's good to have a lot of air when you inside your tomatoes, around your tomatoes, because this helps prevent disease and insects and helps the plant grow more. So here is my cutting. I'm going to lay it on the ground so we can examine it for a minute and teach you something else. When you do a cutting, chances are it may have a flowers forming at the tip of it, and we want to remove that flower cluster right away, because we want all the energy of our cutting going into the stem, into making roots instead of making fruit and flowers. And that's just going to really take a lot of energy from what this plant can do. That being said, also when you bring plants home, flowers or vegetables in general, the first couple weeks you want to remove any fruit and flowers that are forming on the plants and give it a chance to really establish the root system and a strong stem in the soil. I know it's a big sacrifice and hard to do, but I'm just telling you that's the best advice. So we have our cutting. We're going to remove this bottom leaf. We have a nice node there. A lot of times the roots come out of the nodes a lot easier. Going to take off the lid of our rooting compound and just give that a good dip in there. Then we're going to take a chopstick, a stick, or a finger, put a hole as deep as we can in the middle of our pot. Put our stem down it as deep as it can go, and then we're going to really compact the soil, making sure it's making as much contact with the stem as possible. And then I'm going to refill our soil a little bit, making sure that it's not spilling over the top of our pot, but no more than 1/4 inch below the lip of our pot. Then you want to put your cover back on your rooting compound, because it's really easy to shoot water in it if you're being really industrious and not watching what you're doing, which is definitely something I would do. And then we're going to add a little bit more water to the top of this, which is going to make certain that the soil is making contact with the stem, activate that rooting powder, and all is good in the universe. Now the next tip, this is really important and people don't think about this. Because we don't have any kind of established root system, and this plant is going to take a lot of energy to, to pull the water and nutrients up into it, we're going to take this cutting and keep it out of the sun for a while. I'd say at least 2 to 3 weeks while it's forming its roots, perhaps longer, depending how good your soil is and how healthy your cutting is. So now I'm going to take this and put it with the other cuttings I made in this semi-shade spot here where they're not going to get stressed out by the sun. Then I'm going to be patient, and in 3 to 4 weeks, I should have a bunch of indigo kumquat plants. And that's it. Oh, one more thing. I almost forgot one more thing. So if you're ever going around and you're trimming and taking cuttings and trimming dead things off of your tomatoes and things, you want to carry either a wipe with some vinegar on it or a wipe with some alcohol on it, because it's important to keep your scissors sterilized. You want to keep your scissors sterilized so they don't spread any kind of disease into your cuttings or your other plants. That's it. If you like my quick money-saving tips, garden wisdom, organic gardening advice, home repairs, art, rants, raves, and occasional magic, please subscribe. It helps. I want you to take care of yourselves today, and please take care of each other, because how we treat each other on the streets, I believe, is our ultimate reality. Bye for now.